Another genius with a Google Law degree, Judge Ronald Barris muttered under his breath, just loud enough for the courtroom to hear. The crowd chuckled. Malik Jordan stood alone at the defense table, dressed in a second-hand suit that didn't quite fit at the shoulders, his black curls tied back neatly. 19 years old. No lawyer. No family sitting behind him. Just a stack of folders and a quiet calm most teenagers didn't carry. The court docket said he was facing felony burglary and resisting arrest. The prosecutor said he was caught inside the home. The arresting officer said Malik ran. Everyone in the courtroom, including the judge, had already decided how this was going to end. "Where's your representation?" Judge Barris asked, peering over his glasses. "I'll be representing myself, Your Honor," Malik said clearly. That brought a full laugh from the back row. Barris leaned back in his chair and smirked. "Son, this isn't a school debate. This is a felony trial. You understand that, right?" "I do." "And you think you're qualified to go up against the state by yourself?" Malik didn't blink. "Yes, sir. I do." The judge exhaled hard through his nose, like a man too tired for nonsense. "Well, this ought to be entertaining," he said, flipping through the case file. The prosecutor, slick-haired and smug, smirked at Malik like a lion eyeing a house cat. "Let the record show. The defendant has waived legal counsel against advisement." Malik nodded once. "Let the record also show I've submitted pretrial motions, 2 exhibits, and an affidavit of witness contradiction. They should be in the file you're holding, Your Honor." Judge Barris's fingers paused mid-flip. He glanced at the clerk. The clerk blinked. Yes, Your Honor. They're all here." That earned a few raised eyebrows from the crowd. Not laughter. Not yet. Judge Barris cleared his throat. "Very well. Prosecution, you may begin." Malik took his seat quietly. Hands folded. Eyes forward. No sweat on his brow. No fear in his voice. Just a calm certainty like he was exactly where he was supposed to be. What nobody in that room knew, not the judge, not the prosecutor, not even the bailiff, was that Malik Jordan had been waiting for this moment his entire life. They thought they were about to watch a conviction, but what they were really about to witness was a courtroom lesson none of them would forget. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," the prosecutor began, stepping confidently in front of them. "This is not a complicated case. The defendant was caught inside the residence of a retired couple, uninvited, unlawfully, and fled when confronted. He was apprehended 2 blocks away with a crowbar in his backpack and mud on his shoes. The facts are plain. The law is clear." He turned to Malik with a smirk. "What isn't clear is why the defendant believes he's equipped to argue against this with no legal training." The courtroom chuckled again. Even the stenographer cracked a grin. Malik stood slowly. "Permission to respond directly, Your Honor?" Judge Barris hesitated, chewing the inside of his cheek before nodding. "Go ahead, Mr. Jordan. Let's see what Google taught you." Malik stepped forward with the confidence of someone twice his age. "Let's start with that crowbar," he said. "The one found in my backpack." He held up a document. "This is a receipt from Homeworks Hardware, time-stamped 2 hours before the alleged incident. Purchased by me, in-store, for a class project at Atlanta Tech." He turned to the jury. "I'm an electrical engineering student. We were building door sensors. Crowbars, oddly enough, are part of the final project." The prosecutor blinked. "Next," Malik continued, "the homeowner identified a 6-foot black male in a hoodie. That's it. No facial ID. No security footage. Just vague description and coincidence." He handed another paper to the bailiff. "This is a time-stamped video from a gas station 2 blocks away. It shows me walking past their building, not entering it, at 3:52 p.m. I was heading to the train station, where I checked in with my student pass at 4:06. He turned back to the judge. "I've also submitted my location data pulled directly from Google Maps timeline, corroborating my path with matching timestamps." The prosecutor was suddenly on his feet. "Your Honor, I haven't reviewed any of this." Barris raised a hand. "Sit down, Mr. Landry. You had your turn." The room grew quiet. Malik looked back at the jury. If the state is going to claim I was inside that house, they need to prove it. No prints. No DNA. No footage. Just a teenager walking in the same neighborhood. He stepped back. But they've already decided I'm guilty, haven't they? Because of how I look. Because I chose to speak for myself. Because I don't fit what innocent looks like. He held their gaze, steady and unwavering. And yet, here I am. Not because I think I'm smart, but because the truth matters. Judge Barris shifted in his chair. The smirk was gone. He leaned forward, finally asking the question that had been building since Malik opened his mouth. Son, where exactly did you learn all this? Malik stared back, calm as ever. I've been studying law since I was 13. I passed the bar exam last fall. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. And in that moment, the moment everything flipped, no one laughed. Not the judge. Not the prosecutor. And definitely not the jury. Judge Barris leaned back slowly in his chair. Lips pursed. Eyes locked on Malik with something between suspicion and awe. You passed the bar? He asked, tone flat. Yes, sir, Malik replied calmly. Some states permit early bar exam applications for individuals under 21 who can prove extraordinary preparation and equivalent education. I filed under statute 15-18-24.4. He paused. It's all in my certification packet. Tab 3 of the binder you're holding. The judge flipped through it in silence. Malik turned to the jury. You've been told I ran, that I was fleeing. But what they didn't tell you is why. He clicked a remote and a projector behind him flicked on. A muted, grainy video filled the screen, footage from a residential security camera. The timestamp read 4:01 p.m. The figure walked down the street. Black, hoodie, backpack. Not Malik. This man was broader, taller, with a visible limp. The jury leaned forward. That footage was recorded just 1 block from the alleged crime scene, Malik said. The individual matches the general description, but clearly, it's not me. He clicked again. A second video appeared. This one from a MARTA train station. 4:06 p.m. Malik entered through the turnstile, scanning his student pass. Unless I've mastered teleportation, he said. I couldn't have committed a burglary at 4:03 and walked into that station 3 minutes later. A few jurors exchanged glances. He turned back to the prosecutor. You said I was found with mud on my shoes. Did the lab confirm it matched the soil at the scene? The prosecutor was silent. Because if they had, Malik said, you'd have submitted the report. He stepped closer to the jury box. You've also heard the arresting officer claimed I was sweating and agitated. That's because I had just run to catch the train. He stopped me because I looked like someone else. He never read me my rights, never asked for my alibi. He cuffed me before I even said a word. He held up one last document. My university professor, Dr. Helen Banks, submitted a sworn affidavit. I was scheduled to present my project in her 5 p.m. class. She confirmed I emailed her at 4:09 to say I'd be late due to being detained by an officer. Malik placed the affidavit on the table with a quiet finality. He looked out at the courtroom. I know what this looks like. A young black man walking alone carrying a backpack, wrong place, wrong time. That's all it takes. His voice dropped. But I won't let that define me. Not today. Not ever. He returned to the defense table and sat, folding his hands. Silence. Pure, still silence. Judge Barris cleared his throat, but his voice was softer now. Prosecution may cross-examine, if they have anything left. The prosecutor stood, opened his mouth, then shut it again. He looked at his notes, at the jury, at Malik, then shook his head and sat down. No questions, Your Honor. The gallery stirred. The bailiff looked stunned. Even the clerk had stopped typing. Judge Barris stared at Malik for a long moment, then finally said, This court is adjourned for jury deliberation. The gavel struck once, but it echoed like a thunderclap. As the jury was let out, all eyes stayed on Malik Jordan. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just waited, calm, prepared, and completely in control. The jury took just 18 minutes. When they returned, not a single face looked unsure. The forewoman stood with the verdict slip in hand, her voice steady. In the matter of the state of Georgia versus Malik Jordan, we the jury find the defendant not guilty on all counts. The air in the courtroom cracked. Somewhere in the back, someone whispered, "Thank God." Malik exhaled for the first time in hours. He didn't cheer, didn't nod, just closed his eyes for half a second, like he was finally able to breathe again. Judge Barris adjusted his robe, cleared his throat, and tried to mask the weight on his face. "Mr. Jordan," he began slowly, "I owe you more than a verdict." The courtroom hushed. "I misjudged you," Barris said, not looking at the jury, not even glancing at the prosecutor. "I saw a young man, no attorney, and I assumed I knew the ending. But you reminded this court that justice isn't about appearance. It's about truth. And you," he paused, "you reminded me of my job." Malik gave a slight nod. No gloating, no bitterness, just dignity. Outside the courthouse, a small crowd had gathered. News vans, reporters, students from Malik's university. When he stepped through the doors, cameras flashed. "Mr. Jordan, are you really licensed to practice law? Is it true you passed the bar at 19? Do you plan to become a public defender?" Malik held up one hand. Not to quiet them, just to speak. "I stood in that courtroom alone because too many people like me don't get the chance to be heard. I was fortunate enough to study the law, to learn how this system works. And today, I used it to defend my name." He paused, his eyes scanning the crowd. "But I'm not the story. The story is every young person who's told they're not enough. Every voice dismissed before it's even heard. If I can stand in that room and be taken seriously, maybe the next kid will be too." The crowd was quiet now, not from lack of questions, but out of respect. As Malik turned and walked down the courthouse steps, one reporter called out, "Are you going to open a law firm?" He smiled faintly. "I already did." And with that, Malik Jordan disappeared into the evening light, the kid they all laughed at, now the name they'd never forget. Some people walk into a courtroom expecting justice. Others walk in expecting judgment. Malik Jordan walked in prepared for both. He didn't wear a suit tailored by privilege, or carry a name that opened doors. He carried facts, truth, and a fire no assumption could put out. Judge Barris wasn't the villain. Not really. He was just another mirror of a broken system, one that sees skin before credentials, age before ability, and confidence as a threat when it comes from the wrong body. But that day something changed, because the man they laughed at didn't yell. He didn't plead. He proved. And when he did, the whole room had to sit up and listen. Moral of the story? Don't mistake youth for ignorance. Don't confuse silence with weakness. And never, ever judge a mind by the color of its skin. Because sometimes the kid you dismissed as a joke is the one holding the law in his hands. And when he speaks, the courtroom listens.